Hiya, welcome back. I'm Lee and this is my YB powered Mk1, and this is the video that you've all been waiting for and asking about. This one's dyno day. So before we get into the dyno videos, to save all the questions afterwards, I'll tell you the spec of the engine first. So let's go over to the motor and have a look. So here she is. Let's pop the bonnet. Ta-da! So the engine was built by Barham Engines down in Barnstable, and if you go back to my channel and skip back a few videos, the full engine build is covered there, but I'll give you a rundown of the specs. So it's 40 years old. It's hard to believe that, isn't it? 1985 the Cosy came out, and a 40-year-old engine, like most of the YB engines these days, it's a bit of a mongrel. So down the bottom is a 200 4x4 block. So the block's been bored out and fitted with ductile cast iron liners and then decked. Inside, all the gubbins are the standard forged steel items, so forged steel crank, rods and forged alloy pistons from Marla, standard bore with the valve cutouts for hot cams. I'm not running hot cams. It's a really pretty mild spec engine. It's a completely stock two-wheel drive cylinder head with stock valves. It's had new guides in it and stock cams, and that's about it. You don't really need to do much to them because they can produce an awful lot of power as they are. Over on the inlet side, all the inlet is from a small turbo Escort Cosworth. Don't let that fool you. It's probably one of the best flowing inlets out of all the different YB inlets, and it has a larger throttle body as well, and a different type of auto speed control valve, which, to be honest, they're much easier to get. This one's off a Vauxhall Astra, so you don't have to pay £1 million if your ICV valve goes down the Swanner. Over on the exhaust side, it's a standard 4x4 manifold. There's a lot more space if you use a 4x4 manifold. Yeah, the two-wheel drive manifolds flow better, but they're really tight in a Mk1. And again, I wasn't going for silly numbers. The turbo is a bit special. It's a T34, so, you know, like the later Escort Cosworth. But in the centre, in the core, that's a roller bearing core. It's got a billet machined wheel, compressor wheel in the intake side, and the exhaust side is a 0.63 exhaust housing. So that's pretty funky. The exhaust, as you would have seen in previous videos, is full 3-inch stainless front to back. There's a Turbo Smart wastegate on there. There's a Turbo Smart fuel pressure regulator. A few other bits and bobs. I'm running a Link ECU, which allows me to run coil-on plugs. So these are Honda K20 coils from Denso. So you don't need a distributor cap and leads and all that 40-year-old shit anymore. The standard phase sensor still lives down in the distributor, but because you don't need a distributor cap anymore because you've got no leads, I've just put a cap on there. And that's about it. Oh, tucked down there, you can't see it, is an electronic boost controller. And that is pretty much it, really. It's, you know, you could say it's a completely stock YB motor with a decent sized turbo, and the addition under this little cover that I've made of some Bosch 1000cc high impedance injectors. They're multi-hole. They're the latest Bosch Motorsport injectors, so they're much more modern than the old greens or greys, and they can be modulated, so it's just like a tap. You can turn the tap up or down just because they're 1000ccs. Yes, they'll cope with up to 600 brake horsepower easily, but you can use them on much smaller output engines, and you future-proof it, really. The only other interesting addition is a boost control switch that I've fitted. So let's take you around to inside the car, and I'll show you that. I'll just pop the ignition on. So down there, under the ignition switch, is my boost switch. So in the off position, there's a low boost map. and when I flick it on, that's crazy mode, and it goes into the high boost, and that can be switched for a bit of fun on the fly. So that's enough of me rattling on, innit? You want to see what the results are. So I'm going to take you now down to Autodynamix in Devon, which is where I seen a chap called James Wills, and he's very well regarded, got a really good reputation, which is why I picked him, even though he's fucking miles away. But it gave me the opportunity to go and see a good pal of mine who lives halfway there, sort of thing, in Somerset. So I went down, drove the Escort down, stopped with Paul in Somerset while James had it for 3 days. He had it for 3 days, so we could have it stone cold to do all the cold start mapping and the cruise. And where we're going to join him now is on the 3rd day. Me and Paul rocked up, and James has already set all the cold start parameters, so it's firing up from stone cold, lovely now, and the part throttle and cruising along is all set up, and all the fueling and the timing and the injectors are all set up. And now we're going to first of all see him just finishing off the low boost map and doing a couple of power runs, and then making the tweaks to the high boost map. So I'll take you there. So that was that. So I was really chuffed with that result. I probably wasn't expecting numbers quite that high. As I spoke to James, I wasn't chasing a peak horsepower figure. To me, it's just pub talk, really. It's just bragging rights, and it's much more important the area under the curve, if you know what I mean. Like, right, that big fat area shows you how much torque you've got and the drivability of the car, and that was far more important to me than than a peak number. And it's why I didn't go cams and headwork and all that, because it's only a little car, and 275 brake is fucking more than enough. You know what I mean? Like, it weighs about a ton or maybe less, and you're going to have plenty of fun. And I have been having plenty of fun at that level. When you flick it into high boost mode, 375 brake is bloody interesting. I'm telling you, things get exciting really quickly, and I'm glad that I did that. So I've got the option now. The high boost mode is 2 bar. These motors will walk that all day long, so it's not risky at all. I could have got more. James was talking to me when we was at the dyno, and we could have gone for more power, but we would have started to lose torque, and I wasn't really interested in that, or drivability. I built this car to use it, not to look at it and not to brag about it, to be honest. I just wanted a good, usable, driver-friendly car that had plenty of poke, and that's what I've got. So I'm well chuffed with it. So yeah, that's about it, really. The only thing left now is to go and take it for a drive. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. See you later.